he slams the door into her pregnant stomach, and it fucking causes a miscarriage. Like, you feel shitty for her, and you just want to choke the shit out of this little bastard. Which is funny because John had fucking whored him earlier. I really like any of the scenes with John from back in the day. John Kramer's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, he's a fucking man.
Yes, sir. Well, she kind of tells the story about how her and her husband grew apart and they got divorced because apparently John Kramer, everything he did was planned, which makes sense because look at all these plots he's planned out here. So after he learned that he had cancer and a short while to live, John kidnapped Cecil, put him in a trap, which was the first trap he ever built, apparently. And this trap was cool, Vic. I like this trap. It's not as violent or as gruesome as some of the others, but this dude, okay, so he sits in a chair, and he had to push his face against knives in order to release his wrists and ankles, which he'll bleed out if he doesn't. Remember what I was talking about, bleeding out, Vic? Yeah, bleeding out. This dude's like tied up with barbed wire or some shit. But anyway, if he can push his face through these knives to make his outer appearance look like his inner appearance, which is just fucking ugly, then he'll survive. So he actually does. He manages to get through this thing, and the chair he's sitting in collapsed, and he lunges at John, who's like just kind of watching him. He's just standing there, and John just sidesteps him at the last moment. Cecil falls into this tangle of fucking razor wire, which I assume, Vic, this razor wire is what comes back for Fat Boy in the first one. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh, yeah.
The dude that has to crawl through the razor wire? I'm pretty sure that's this. I bet you he recycled it. Why wouldn't he? He's not exactly, doing things that are clean at this point.
Yep, kind of makes sense.
So Strand makes connections from Jill's story to the Gideon meat factory, the scene of Riggs' final test. So Strand arrives but finds himself lost, accidentally trailing Jeff from the last one, which we don't even realize. Basically, you think Jeff is looking for his daughter at this point. Oh, but we're going to find out some other stuff later on. In reality, and I'll tell you now, the events of this film and Saw 3 are actually unfolding at the same time. This is kind of, I think, our twist in this one, Vic, or one of the twists, because you have no idea when stuff is taking place. We thought it was a few days after, but it's really taking place at the same time, parallel,
Yeah, which is interesting.
Well, at least a lot of it. Maybe not the whole movie, but some of it. So, meanwhile, Rigg, he approaches his final test. In the next room, you have Art, Detective Matthews, and Hoffman. Matthews is standing on an ice block with a chain noose cinched around his neck, while Hoffman's strapped into a chair with an electrode by his feet. And they're at opposite ends of a balanced scale. But if Matthews slips off the ice or too much of it melts, he'll be hanged, and the weight shift will dump the runoff water onto Hoffman's end, electrocuting him. Do you get all this? I know it's fucking complicated, but that's basically how that works. And basically, if Hoffman dies, or if Matthews dies, so does Hoffman by electrocution. And Art, he's kind of the Zeb of this movie. He's being forced to watch over them, while he's got a device strapped to his back that holds a set of pincers against his neck, ready to cut through his spine. Another cool idea. You know what I'm saying? I wonder if Zeb was tied to anything. Oh, wait, he had that thing in his system. He was bleeding. Or, he had the thing that they had in their system in part 2, remember?
No.
So he didn't actually have a trap on him. But anyway, once the 90-minute timer for Riggs' test runs out, he can push a button to release himself and the others. But they can't do it until the 90 minutes is up. If the door is open before time runs out, Matthew's head will be crushed between 2 overhead ice blocks, and Hoffman will die with him. So, nice little trap that's got a lot of people involved here. So at this point, Rigg, he's approaching through the door's grimy window, and Matthews is trying to warn him, but he can't fucking succeed here, because Matthews, I swear, dude's been through hell. I feel so bad for this guy. You know what I'm saying? Matthews is so funny. He tries to kill himself earlier in the movie, and Art doesn't let him because it's going to kill. It's going to kill Hoffman too.
Yeah.
So whenever Rig gets in, Matthews actually shoots him, and though he's wounded, Rig still crashes through the door. 1 second left on the clock. See, Matthews and Hoffman presumably don't know who's coming through the door, so he just shoots whoever comes in. And this actually releases the overhead ice blocks, and it kills Matthews. It was fucking crazy, wasn't it? This ice block kill, like it came out of nowhere. This dude just gets his head exploded. Fucking nice. Anyway,
loved it.
So Art's trying to explain the situation to Rig, because Rig had shot him, because he thinks he's responsible for the game, but Rig kills him, mistaking the tape recorder in his hand for a gun. So Art fucking dies here. So now you got left is Hoffman and Rig, and the tape tells Rig that he's failed his final test by not learning that he could not save everyone by himself. Had he allowed the time to expire and not barged through the door, he would have passed, and the 3 captives would have all survived. It's always about choices in this, you know what I mean? Make the wrong choice, everybody dies. What a game.
Yeah,
anyway,
everybody makes the wrong choice for whatever reason.
So at this point, Hoffman releases himself from his chair. He's completely unharmed, and he reveals that he's another apprentice of Jigsaw, and he leaves Rig bleeding on the floor. Meanwhile, you've got Stram facing off with Jeff in the makeshift sick room from Saw 3. So then you realize, oh shit, this is going on at the same time? What the fuck? So Jeff waves a gun at Stram, thinking he's involved in the abduction of his daughter. And Stram kills Jeff in self-defense, fulfilling Jigsaw's earlier warning about an innocent man dying. By the way, this is the only good thing Stram does as far as I'm concerned. He kills this motherfucker. Yay, bye, Jeff. We only got like 5 seconds of you. I told you we wouldn't get any much more of him. Thank God he died. It's too bad he didn't die in a trap or something.
Yes, he should have.
He sucks. But before he can react further, Hoffman locks him in the room with corpses of Jigsaw, Jeff, Amanda, and Lynn. And the movie kind of ends with Jigsaw's autopsy, showing that it took place after the events of this film. So we didn't know that, it seemed like it took place before, but it actually took place after all this bullshit took place, which is telling Hoffman that he's got a test. And what's his test going to be? Who knows? I guess we got to tune in for Saw 5. So our big twists were, the fact that the movie continuity and the fact that Hoffman is the new apprentice. So he is now taking the Jigsaw mantle. What did you think of this movie, Vic?
I mean, I thought it was good. I mean, honestly, I liked it better than Part 3.
How can you not?
They amped up the gore. They amped up the torture. Those are things I enjoy. Those are things I like. And more and more, this movie's making me want to turn my face away and not pay, it's just, some of it's just out and out disgusting. But overall, I enjoyed it. I mean, it's not the best in the series so far, but it's up there, man. I want to give it a high 3.0, not quite a 3.5, but it's in there with the 3s. I like it a lot.
Yeah, definitely better than Saw 3. There's no argument whatsoever there. I can't understand why IMDb has Saw 3 higher than Saw 4. I just don't get it. What is so special about Saw 3? Other than the fact that Shawnee Smith's in it a lot. That's about it. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, that's a pretty good thing, but I don't know.
I also like Detective Hoffman, and I think I'm going to like him even more as the series goes on. So, Saw 4, I agree with you, Vic, 3.0. And this is telling us something about this series. Even the one that's the stinker so far of the series, which is Part 3 in our opinion, it gets a 3.5. Saw's doing quite well. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of extreme in that way.
Whenever you compare the Saw series to other horror series, and they all have that stinker that gets a 2 or a 1.5 or whatever. Like, if the lowest one, I don't know if it will be, but the lowest one is a 2.5, then they did something right.
I think out of all horror movies, when you have a series that hits 4 movies at this point, it's tough to have 4 good ones. Friday the 13th did it. Halloween was pretty close. Oh no, I'd say Halloween did. Texas Chainsaw failed because Part 4 fucking ugh.
Yep.
You know, Scream did well, but Scream 3 was kind of a stinker, as Saw 3 was, but it wasn't terrible. You know, neither one of them was terrible. The really bad ones in most series, they start happening later on. Nightmare on Elm Street, it started getting bad in Part 2 and then in Part 4. Not terrible, but not good. So, you know, this is kind of an exception in the horror genre where you've got 4 strong movies, 3 really good and 1 decent, you know, and that's not bad. Yeah. That's a hell of a series so far. And we still got 3 to go, and then 1 coming out on the 27th. So, I mean, hell of a little run for Saw so far, you know?
Yeah, no doubt about it, man. And I mean, they're going strong, so we'll see if they can continue to go there. I'm pretty sure they will, but I haven't seen them, so I'm curious to see what they're about.
So, Saw 4 gets a 5.9. What do you think about Saw 5? A lot of people say it's their least favorite one, or at least people I know.
Hey, hold on real quick. I gotta go piss real quick. I'll be right back, so keep that thought.
All right, well, I'll talk about some specs here. Director is David Hackle. I don't know who the fuck this guy is. I'm going to look him up to see who he is. And we're on to Saw 5 now. David Hackle, he was a production designer and director. Well, designer on Saw 2 and Saw 3, and then he directed Saw 4. Let's see what else he got involved with. He was also production designer on Saw 4. I mean, this was giving a lot of people their break. He really didn't have any other credits to his, he did Into the Grizzly Maze, which I've never seen. He's done Life on the Line. I know nothing about this guy beyond the fact that he worked on Saw movies. Oh, he also worked on Repo the Genetic Opera. So I guess he's a Darren Lynn Bousman, apprentice or whatever you want to call him. So there's that. Saw 5 from 2008. It actually came out, what do you think, late October? Let's see. October 24th, 2008. So we're talking about right before Halloween again. The tagline on this is, "You won't believe how it ends," which is pretty sweet. You back?
I'm back.
All right, man. IMDb rating, what do you think? 5.9 was the last one, so we're slowly decreasing here.
I'm going to say 5.6.
5.8. It only dropped by 0.1.
All righty. That's good then, I guess.
So a lot of people don't like this one. I don't know. I've heard that anyway. A lot of people think this is the worst of the series. They think, I don't know. I've always said 3, but we'll see what we feel after we talk about it here because we both watched it again. Vic, the budget went up on this one by $800,000, so $10,800,000. It went slow, just a little bit up, and the U.S. gross was $56 million. So it did quite well too. I mean, you can see why they kept churning these movies out. They were money makers for the studio, you know.
Oh, they were getting them paid, man.
And this is Lionsgate too. The gross did drop down from the last one. It dropped about $7 million, but they're still making some good money on this shit. Five into the series, you don't even get 5 into the series on most movies. So so Saw 5, 2008. Here we go. You ready, Vic? October 28th, October 24th, 2008, and Vic's going to be running this thing down, which is always entertainment.
Yeah, buddy.
Dude, one of the plot keywords that just made me laugh on Saw 4, like if you look this up, you'll get it on IMDb. Rapist, serial rapist, rape detective, FBI. Okay. So I guess that's what Saw 4 is about, those things.
Yeah, 3 or 4 of my favorite things.
Yeah.
Okay, at least 2. Anyway, so the film starts with Seth in a pendulum trap. It is.
I remember this on the previews. Remember when the previews came out? I remember this. Like it seems like this thing's been around forever, but it's only been around since Saw 5, which is pretty late in the game.
Yeah, it's crazy.